Eek, don't look, I'm embarrassed. As I approached the entrance of a bar, where our company's social gathering was taking place, I noticed a woman standing alone. She was dressed in a miniskirt that seemed rather short for the chilly weather. Getting closer, she turned around, possibly hearing my footsteps. She was a senior colleague of mine, who also happens to be my mentor at work. Typically, she's seen in pants or meaty-length skirts in shades of gray and neutral colors. This is quite a change from her usual office attire. I couldn't help but feel a jolt of surprise. Her long, slender legs suited the miniskirt perfectly, much like a fashion model. Then, I realized she had a near-tearful expression. "Are you all right?" "Yeah, I'm fine." But obviously, she didn't seem fine. Her eyes were red, yet her face was pale. It would be awkward to enter the place in such a condition. Before anyone else could see us, I quickly took her arm. But at that time, I didn't know. I was unaware that someone had been observing our actions from the shadows. Nor did I realize that these actions would lead to a major issue involving the company. My name is Jackson Miller. I work in the public relations department of a major general trading company, Maplewood Enterprises. I've always enjoyed verbally promoting things I like and thinking about advertising and website layouts. For someone like me, this job, where I can present various projects to the outside world, is a dream come true. They say, do what you love, and you'll be good at it. Thanks to that, I find my job going smoothly and enjoyable. I often receive compliments from various departments, like the website you updated recently looks great, or the article in the business magazine was fantastic. Despite my seemingly perfect job, and no apparent dissatisfaction with the company, something started to feel lacking. Much of my work involves sitting in front of a computer, with only occasional interactions with others during presentations or interviews, all in a formal setting. I found myself yearning for more human connections. I wanted to increase my involvement in work that required interacting with people. These thoughts occupied my mind. During a departmental meeting, I subtly shared my aspirations with my manager. Then one day, the manager made a suggestion. "We have an advertising agency in one of our group companies, don't we? Jackson, how about giving it a try?" It was an offer I hadn't even dared to hope for. The company the manager mentioned is one of the most successful businesses handled by Maplewood Enterprises, standing at the top of its industry in terms of sales. Indeed, at that company, there would likely be many projects involving closer work with clients and team collaboration. Is that really okay? Yeah. With your skills, you could certainly make a broader impact. Of course, we'll have to go through their HR, but with our recommendation, I think the transfer will be swift. Thank you so much. I'd love to take this opportunity. And so, a few months later, I transferred to Maplewood Enterprises. Entering the office adorned with the stylish Maplewood logo, I was guided by HR to meet the president and senior management. Being recommended by Maplewood Enterprises, I received expectant looks and exchanged greetings nervously. Then, HR escorted me to my new department. "Mr. Thompson, the department head, this is Mr. Jackson Miller, joining us today." "Mr. Miller, this is Mr. Kevin Thompson, our department head. He's a seasoned professional with over 20 years in the field." "Jackson Miller, pleased to meet you." "So you're Mr. Miller. I've heard about you and seen the websites you've created. Impressive skills and sense of style." "Thank you." After shaking hands, he led me to my desk, patting my shoulder with a friendly smile. "I'd like to entrust you with significant tasks. But first, you should get to know our work. This is Miss Ayers. She'll be your mentor." The woman sitting next to me turned around. She was a neat-looking woman with lustrous black hair tied in a ponytail and wearing tortoiseshell glasses. Her large eyes looked up at me, making my heart race. "I'm Ayers. Nice to meet you." When she introduced herself with a voice as beautiful as a dubbing artist for Western movies, I stuttered in response. I'm Miller." Caught off guard by the unexpected encounter with such a beautiful woman, I faltered. "Mr. Miller has a solid background in the public relations department at Maplewood Enterprises. Once he learns the basics, he'll be an immediate asset. I think I'll have more to learn from you." "Oh, no, that's too kind of you." That was how my relationship with Miss Ayers began. Her guidance was thorough and easy to understand. Moreover, Her refined demeanor soothed my weary mind amidst the stress of adapting to a new job. Miss Ayers was not only good-looking but also highly competent in her work. "Ayers, can you finalize this draft for me? And I'll send you the data for the television advertisement proposal for Oak Foods." Yes, I understand. And how's the budget adjustment coming along? I should have it done by the end of this week since the deadline is next week. All right. Ms. Ayers is entrusted with a multitude of tasks directly by Mr. Bumpson. It's not just about mentoring me. The amount of work she handles is impressive. I need to learn from her. However, even from my perspective, her workload seems heavy. I wonder if there's anything I can help with. Miss Ayers, if there's anything I can assist with. Oh, Ayers, one more thing. Yes, what is it? Please arrange the schedule for Mr. Miller's welcome party. Yes. Thank you so much, and sorry for the trouble, Miss Ayers. Don't mention it. We should welcome you since you've joined us. My offer to help was interrupted. I'll try to assist her again tomorrow. Gratefully, I looked forward to the welcome party. A week later, I planned to head to the pub after work, but there was an issue with the documents I had submitted to the accounting department. Not wanting to inconvenience anyone, I asked everyone to go ahead while I tackled correcting the erroneous documents. Then after I finished, I hurried to the pub. As I approached, I noticed a woman standing at the entrance. She was wearing a pure white, frilly, above knee-length skirt and seemed to be fidgeting. There, she was standing with her knees pressed together. It looked too cold for the season. As I got closer and she heard my footsteps, the woman turned around. Miss Ayers. Mr. Miller. I was surprised. I never expected it to be Miss Ayers. Typically, she's seen in pants or meaty-length skirts in shades of gray and neutral colors. The difference in her appearance outside of the office was striking. "Don't stare so much, it's embarrassing," she said. I couldn't help but be a little taken aback. Miss Ayers, with her model-like slender and long legs, looked great in a miniskirt, but she also seemed cold. Just as I was about to suggest we go inside, I realized she looked like she was about to cry. "Miss Ayers, are you okay?" "Yeah. Why are you standing out here? Aren't you going inside? And your outfit? They said they didn't need a woman who can't read the social cues." "What? It's nothing. I'm fine." But she clearly wasn't fine. Her eyes were red, yet her face was pale. Something was bothering her, but she wasn't saying what it was. Miss Ayers, usually so cheerful, was visibly upset. I couldn't just leave her like this. Before anyone else saw us, I gently took Miss Ayers by the arm. "Miss Ayers, how about we go somewhere else?" "But it's your welcome party." "Oh, right, I forgot about that." I called Mr. Thompson, who was probably at the pub. "I'm sorry, but I have urgent documents to prepare, and I might not make it in time. Could you start without me? I apologize for the inconvenience." "Is that so?" "Understood. Let us know if you can make it later." "Oh, wait, have you seen Ayers?" I instinctively glanced at Miss Ayers next to me. Aunt Miss Ayers is still at the office too. Seems like she also has urgent work. I see. After ending the call, Miss Ayers weakly grabbed my arm. "Thank you, Mr. Miller. Don't mention it." We found a quieter place a little further away and entered. Sitting at the counter and placing our orders, Miss Ayers, without looking at me, asked, "Mr. Miller, what do you think of my outfit?" "It looks cold." When I honestly replied, Miss Ayers finally gave a small smile. "Yes, I feel a little cold." "Well, it suits you because of your style. But personally, I think I prefer the usual Miss Ayers." "Yeah, I guess so. I'll go change." After saying that, she took her bag and headed towards the restroom. A few minutes later, Miss Ayers returned, back in her usual pants attire. I wondered why she had chosen to wear something she didn't feel suited her, and why she had seemed on the verge of tears. But asking her directly might be intrusive. I decided to wait until she felt ready to talk about it. Miss Ayers took a sip of the hot coffee I had ordered, and she seemed a bit relieved. "Warm, delicious. I'm glad. You seem a bit more relaxed now." As we enjoyed the drinks and food that were served, Miss Ayers asked hesitantly, "Mr. Miller?" "Yes. Are you really okay with not attending the welcome party? I mean, not that you should go, but just wondering if you're okay with it." "It's fine. but I feel bad about it. There's something I always think about. I want to make the people right in front of me happy. You know, I transferred here from the main office of the group, right? I was given a lot of big responsibilities, and I was trusted and valued. But one day, I felt empty. I was supposed to be working with people, but somehow I ended up only seeing the task before me, forgetting the people. I started this job because I enjoyed sharing the wonderful things which I thought were good with others, and it made both me and them happy. But lately, I've been too focused on profits and evaluations, forgetting why I started. I realized that it's no wonder I wasn't enjoying it. My fundamental desire is to make people happy and see them smile. That's the core of my actions. So, that's why I became talkative, perhaps due to the alcohol. But then our eyes met, and we both looked away awkwardly. We both reached for our drinks at the same time, feeling a bit uncomfortable. In that moment, I searched for the right words to say. Well, that's why I want you, Miss Ayers, to be happy. Because you're important to me. My vision started to blur. I had talked too much and drank more than I intended. Miss Ayers' figure was becoming hazy, but then her outline sharpened. It was because her face was right in front of mine. I'm happy to hear that you think of me as important. I mean. Me too. I also think of you, Mr. Miller, as very important. Miss Ayers took my hand and then leaned against me as she sat next to me. I was momentarily puzzled, but instinctively wrapped my arm around her back. Then, a loud alarm blared. Before me was the ceiling of my room. As I sat up, I realized I was in my own house. It was just a dream. Of course, it was. Miss Ayers suddenly hugging me like that couldn't possibly be real. It seems I made it home safely despite being drunk. I wonder how much of that was a dream. In any case, I need to apologize for drinking to the point of memory loss. I owe an apology to Mr. Thompson as well. And why was Miss Ayers wearing a miniskirt? She seemed uncomfortable in it. I spent whole weekends recovering from a hangover headaches and went straight to Mr. Thompson's office first thing Monday morning. Mr. Thompson, I'm sorry about last Friday. I missed the welcome party you arranged. It's okay. If it was work-related, it can't be helped. You've had a lot on your plate since joining. Just don't overdo it. Thank you. Feeling guilty about his kind words, I then headed to Miss Ayers. Come to think of it, I never did find out why Miss Ayers was wearing that miniskirt or why she seemed like she was about to cry. Good morning, Miss Ayers. Good morning, Mr. Miller. I apologized to her in a low voice. About last Friday, I'm sorry. I was quite drunk, wasn't I? Do you remember? That's the thing. My memory is a bit fuzzy. I see. Eek. I never knew you could be like that when you're drunk. Her words brought back the contents of my dream, making my face flush with heat. Wait, did I do something? Who knows? Come on, please tell me. This playful exchange and the fact we had drunk together helped us become as close as long-standing colleagues. At first, I started by helping Miss Ayers with her work, but gradually I began to take on more responsibilities myself. Both of us, having high expectations from the start, were even referred to as a great team by our colleagues. It was gratifying to feel welcomed and motivated me to work harder. Miss Ayers seemed to feel the same, always bright and cheerful. One day, I casually brought up something I had been thinking about. You know, I've noticed Mr. Thompson hasn't been assigning tasks to us directly as much lately. Yeah, that's true. Her response was hesitant. I had thought maybe Mr. Thompson was holding back because Miss Ayers was busy, but now I wondered if I had said something wrong. Amidst these thoughts, one day, after lunch outside, I returned to the office to find everyone looking at me all at once. Surprised, I noticed people either awkwardly avoiding eye contact or whispering and glancing over at me. Amidst all this, one person was acting normally. Miss Ayers. Miss Ayers, did I do something wrong? Mr. Miller, you haven't done anything. The one who did something strange is me. The woman sitting opposite me showed me her smartphone, speaking in a low, uncomfortable voice. Mr. Miller, I think this is what everyone's talking about. What's this? On her phone was a photo of me and Miss Ayers walking together. The problem wasn't the photo itself, But Ms. Ayers was wearing the miniskirt from the day of my welcome party. It meant someone had taken our photo that day. What's this photo? Who took it? I don't know. It's been circulating in our department and among our peers on the group shot. Miss Ayers had been uncomfortable in that miniskirt. Now, having it displayed like this must be upsetting for her. Telling everyone to delete the photo now wouldn't erase it from their memories. As I was thinking this, I noticed Miss Ayers coolly working. No, her hands were trembling. She must be feeling embarrassed and frustrated. And I felt the same way. This photo was clearly taken with malicious intent. What was the purpose of doing this? I thought Miss Ayers was demure, but it was all drama. Maybe her recent good performance is because she's manipulating Mr. Miller to her advantage. She's stronger than I thought. It's like she's embodying a scary woman. Hearing these comments from nearby female colleagues made my blood boil. Ms. Ayers' efficiency in her work is due to her own capabilities. These colleagues have known her longer than I have. Their comments are baffling and, frankly, immature. Isn't it inappropriate to talk like that where others can hear? I couldn't hold back and spoke up to them. They looked surprised at first but quickly smirked. Oh, so Mr. Miller is in on it too. You two make a good match. What are you talking about? You know, falling for Miss Ayers' honey trap. It's fine, right? Miss Ayers is beautiful. What do you like about her, Mr. Miller? I was dumbfounded. Their taunting was childish. They were ganging up without considering others' feelings. There was no need to engage with such people. I decided to ignore them and, like Miss Ayers, focused on my work. The two of you are so serious. Must be nice. Office romance. Their relentless teasing was annoying. Then a sharp voice cut through. Hey, what are you doing? Enough with the idle chatter. It was Mr. Thompson. The office fell silent as soon as he raised his voice. Everyone quickly returned to their seats. That's Mr. Thompson for you. Mr. Thompson silenced the onlookers with just a word. However, the issue wasn't resolved. Days later, Miss Ayers and I still attracted stares whenever we spoke, even if it was just about work. It felt uncomfortable. I realized that reprimanding those who made baseless assumptions and mocked us was futile. Gradually, we began to understand that keeping our distance would reduce scrutiny. As a result, our once close relationship seemed to vanish, and we interacted only when necessary. It was during this time that Mr. Thompson called me in, his expression one of concern. Is there something going on between you and Ayers? I explained everything, including how the behavior of our colleagues was affecting us. Neither Ms. Ayers nor I had done anything wrong, so I felt able to discuss the situation openly. I see, Mr. Thompson acknowledged. I'm sorry to bring this up. Don't be. I'm glad you spoke to me. Well, if you two continue working closely together, the others might not stop spreading rumors. Besides, it's not comfortable for either of you. Miller, you can handle your work on your own now, right? Let's say you've graduated from Ayers training. Mr. Thompson's words made sense. If we distanced ourselves, people might eventually lose interest in spreading rumors. It was sad, but staying too close to Ms. Ayers was probably uncomfortable for her as well. Perhaps it was best to minimize our interactions until things settle. I understand. Please go ahead with that arrangement. Yeah. And if there's anything else, don't hesitate to let me know. I felt relieved having spoken to Mr. Thompson. Knowing he was aware of the situation, he would likely intervene if he saw anyone speaking ill of Ms. Ayers. This thought gave me some peace of mind. For the next month, my interactions with Ms. Ayers ceased. Our seats were moved apart, and we hardly saw each other. This seemed to decrease the whispers and gossip, but I couldn't shake off a sense of loneliness. Ms. Ayers was the person who had helped me the most after I joined a company, and I also felt attracted to her as a woman. However, making any advances would risk a return to the awkwardness of a month ago. I was stuck, unsure of what to do. Then one day, when I was staying late in the office alone, Ms. Ayers returned to the office. As I noticed her, I looked up, and our eyes met. It would be rude to ignore her, so I awkwardly nodded to greet her. Now, no one else was watching. Good evening, I said. Good evening. It feels like it's been a while, she replied, smiling at me. Are you doing well? You seem to have adapted well to the work. Yes, I guess. But it's not enjoyable. Miss Ayers looked concerned at my response. Is that because the work is too demanding? Or is it different from what you expected? No, I'm satisfied with the work itself. Remember what I said before about wanting to make people happy and see them smile. That's the foundation of what I do. Yes, I remember. The fact that I can't make even one of my colleagues smile in this situation, despite doing good work, makes me feel inadequate. Colleague, Miss Ayers, you've seemed less cheerful lately. Indeed, since the rumors about us started, Miss Ayers had visibly lost her usual spirit. It was understandable, given the curious stares from our workmates. That's because I want you to be happy and smile too, but anything I do might make your situation even worse. I really wish you could share your troubles with me. Rely on me, Mr. Miller. But that's not right, is it? I even talked to Mr. Thompson about keeping our distance. Mr. Thompson. Miss Ayers suddenly sounded surprised. Was it that shocking? Yes. I talked to him about the trouble the photo and the rumors were causing us. So, he moved our seats apart. But Miss Ayers abruptly stopped speaking, as if she had almost said something she shouldn't have. What's wrong? I asked. It's nothing, she replied, yet clearly struggling with something. I could see a thin film of tears in her eyes. It's not nothing. I've told you before, I want you to rely on me. I can't stand to see you suffer alone. Miss Ayers looked at me with eyes filled with hope, but I don't want to involve you in my problems. Bring it on. Let me share the burden. Don't you think I can be relied upon? She shook her head vigorously. That's not it. I'm grateful, thank you. It's just that. Just as Miss Ayers seemed ready to open up, a faint camera shutter sound interrupted us. Surprised by the noise in the quiet office, we instinctively turned around to find someone pointing a smartphone at us. Mr. Thompson. I called out his name, and he approached us, smiling. Why are you here? I thought you had left for the day. Ha ha ha. It looked like a good angle, so I couldn't resist. But darn, I forgot to turn off the shutter sound. You were taking a photo. In that moment, a realization dawned on me. The only time someone could have taken a photo of Miss Ayers and me together was during the brief 10 minutes we were looking for a restaurant. I had thought it was a coincidence that someone spotted us, but what if Mr. Thompson had known we were together? After all, he had asked about Miss Ayers that day. A sinking feeling washed over me. Hoping my suspicion was wrong, I asked, was it you, Mr. Thompson, who took that photo of Miss Ayers and me? Yes, it was me. Turned out well, didn't it? No way. His casual admission sent a chill down my spine. I had trusted him, thought he was on our side. Why would you do something like that? I thought it was unusual to see Ayers dressed like that. Unusual, but you were the one who told her to dress that way. Miss Ayers, on the verge of tears, confronted Mr. Thompson. What do you mean? I asked, confused. My problem was with Mr. Thompson. He was the one who told me to wear that outfit that day. What? I was dumbfounded. Why would he do that? Miss Ayers didn't seem to be lying, and Mr. Thompson didn't deny it. Mr. Thompson told me to wear a miniskirt to your welcome party. I didn't want to, so I went in my usual clothes. But then I was told a woman who can't read the social cues and doesn't wear such a skirt isn't welcome and should leave. So I tried to muster the courage to change and go back in, but I couldn't, until you, Mr. Miller, came and spoke to me. Mr. Thompson, what's the meaning of this? Why would you do such a thing? Harassment, obviously. Mr. Thompson replied nonchalantly. Miss Ayers bit her lip. Because she disrespects my feelings. I did nothing of the sort. Please don't make unfounded claims. All your fault. You refuse me. From the conversation, Mr. Thompson, a married man, had took advantage of his position and persistently pursuing Miss Ayers. However, his courtship hadn't gone through as what he planned. Then the harassment began, escalating to the point of overloading her with work and coercing her into wearing a miniskirt. I had thought her being assigned so much work by Mr. Thompson was a testament to her skills, but I was wrong. My lack of insight infuriated me. So the photo was part of the harassment. I trusted you and confided in you, But you were the instigator. I had my eyes on Ayers first. I couldn't let you two get close. I had you two involved too. Besides, you're a valuable employee, Miller. I can have you distracted by a romance with Ayers. You manipulated and trapped people for your own convenience. We are not your playthings. I couldn't forgive Mr. Thompson for driving Ms. Ayers to such distress. As I stepped forward to assert this, Mr. Thompson laughed derisively. Miller, don't get too disrespectful. You don't know what might happen to you. I refuse to knelt down to someone who resorts to such cowardly tactics. Humph. I didn't know you're foolish, contrary to my impression. Remember, you'll regret not following me. With that, Mr. Thompson left. Miss Ayers and I stood in silence for a while. Then, she apologized me. I'm sorry, Mr. Miller. This is all my fault. How is this your fault, Miss Ayers? I'm the one who should apologize for not realizing Mr. Thompson's actions sooner. Mr. Miller, you've always been so considerate. I was really struggling before you joined here. I had lost my sense of purpose and didn't even know what I wanted anymore. But seeing you live with such conviction, I felt inspired to keep going. That's when I remembered that I wanted to create products that make people smile. You've been a great help to me. Miss Ayers, I am on your side. Please rely on me from now on. You're not alone. Not alone, huh? Miss Ayers looked out the window, then back at me and nodded. Thank you. There's something else I need to tell you. What is it? Actually, as Miss Ayers leaned in close, she whispered something in my ear. I couldn't believe she had been carrying such a secret. The next day, as soon as I arrived at work, Mr. Thompson called me in. Reluctantly, I followed, and as expected, he threatened me. About last night's conversation, if you agree to be on my side, I'll put you in a favorable position. I acknowledge your talent. You could be a manager, or even a department head. You wouldn't want to lose your career over just a colleague, right? But if you refuse, I refuse. I didn't need to hear the rest of his proposal or consider it. My response was firm and clear. Mr. Thompson seemed a bit surprised, perhaps expecting me to betray Ms. Ayers. He immediately made a call on his smartphone. It's Thompson. Regarding our earlier discussion, the person in question has admitted it. Admitted? What was he talking about? After hanging up, Mr. Thompson smirked with satisfaction. I've informed the president that the photo of you and Ayers was your drama. I advised that your actions caused disrupting company orders and framing a colleague, thus should be severely punished. What? Why would you do that? You're no longer a useful pawn for me. Just then, the president's secretary entered our room. Mr. Thompson, being in a higher position and undoubtedly more trusted, had the advantage. As a mid-career hire, I wondered how much my word would count. Mr. Miller, the president would like to see you. Understood. And Mr. Thompson, you're also requested to come. Me as well. Well, that's fine. I'll personally prove his misdeeds. Mr. Thompson followed, almost triumphantly. Mr. Thompson whispered to me, I'll have a front-row seat to watch you get fired. As we entered the reception room, the president was already waiting. Mr. Thompson began speaking to him in a friendly manner. Thank you for responding so quickly, President. I've had quite the trouble with Mr. Miller here. I never imagined he could be such a despicable person. Before I could get a word in, Mr. Thompson went on with his fabricated story. However, the president spoke calmly. I'm not the one you'll be dealing with. Not you, President. As the door was knocked and opened by the secretary, my jaw dropped in surprise. Chairman. Hey, Mr. Miller. It's been a while. It was the chairman of Maplewood Enterprises, where I previously worked. I had spoken to him a few times at company social events. I couldn't believe he remembered my face and name. It's been a while, Mr. Miller. What brings you here? I heard my daughter has been under your care. Then, from behind the chairman, Miss Ayers appeared. Daughter. Unwittingly, Mr. Thompson's eyes widened, and he let out a sound of surprise. The chairman then turned his gaze to Mr. Thompson. It seems my daughter has also been under your care. No, I mean. It seemed Mr. Thompson understood the different implications of under your care. His face rapidly turned pale. The truth I had learned from Miss Ayers the previous night was that she was the daughter of George Ayers, the chairman of Maplewood Enterprises. Raised to be exceptionally talented, Miss Ayers had received a rigorous education from a young age. However, she always considered her abilities a gift from her parents and those around her. Wanting to prove herself, she chose not to work directly under her father, but instead joined a subsidiary of the group, keeping her identity a secret. Only a few in upper management knew her true identity, and she had asked them to treat her as an ordinary employee without special treatment. Unaware of her real identity, Mr. Thompson began persistently harassing her when she consistently refused his advances. Despite the challenges, Miss Ayers had been determined to handle it on her own, not wanting to rely on her father. But later, she had realized that seeking help and being dependent were completely different. And finally, she decided to inform her father about the situation at work. She had mentioned that she had evidence, such as harassing emails and recordings. The presence of the chairman indicated that both he and the president had quickly understood and taken the situation seriously. Mr. Thompson, this is truly regrettable. What are you talking about? Everything you've done is on record. And your wife, she works at another company within our group, doesn't she? Surely not. I'm sorry, but I've already made a call earlier. Your wife should be arriving here shortly. Mr. Thompson confronted the chairman. Wait. I've dedicated my life to this company. I've made significant contributions. President, you can testify to that. The president let out a heavy sigh. Mr. Thompson, building trust is difficult, but breaking it is easy. I can believe that someone with your experience doesn't understand that. Indeed, you've contributed to the company, but you've also violated our employment policies. And now, trying to pin the blame on a junior colleague. Honestly, there's no excuse for your behavior. Impossible. Mr. Thompson collapsed to his knees, defeated. Miss Ayers looked relieved as she watched him. It must have been frightening for her to confront him, but she had shown remarkable strength. Miss Ayers, you've done well to endure this alone. But please, no more suffering in silence. Mr. Miller, thank you. It's thanks to you. After Mr. Thompson was taken away by HR, I spoke to Miss Ayers. That's when I noticed Chairman Ayers watching us with a warm gaze. I've heard about your reputation since you were in the public relations department at Maplewood Enterprises, Mr. Miller. I knew you were talented, but I never imagined you'd be the one to help my daughter. Will you continue to support her? She tends to take on too much by herself, as you might have noticed. Yes, of course. I'd be honored to. Who would have thought my daughter would find such a good person? The chairman mused. Miss Ayers and I exchanged surprised glances at his words. What are you saying, Dad? You've always been clueless about romance. I'm just glad you've found someone dependable. Can we not talk about this now? Watching their affectionate exchange, I felt a warmth in my heart. This wasn't the time to be lost in thought. If I was being seen as a potential partner, I needed to step up. Mr. Thompson was, of course, subject to disciplinary action. Additionally, it came to light that several female employees who had spread the photo and rumors about Miss Ayers and me were in fact Mr. Thompson's mistresses. Legal proceedings concerning them were also forthcoming. Considering the adversities, Miss Ayers truly had been struggling alone. I wanted her to rely on me more from now on. With her father's blessing, there was no need for her to hold back. When I expressed this to her, she nodded happily. I told her it was natural, as we were partners in both professional and personal aspects. Don't hold back on saying what's on your mind. I'm here for anything. At my words, Miss Ayers blushed and teased. Anything. How about picking up where we left off that day? That day. You know, the day you saw me in the miniskirt. We had drinks, and you said I was important to you. Then you hugged me, remember? Wait, that wasn't a dream. If you don't want Mr. Miller, it's okay, Miss Ayers said, turning away slightly. I quickly responded, it's more than welcome. I'd like that very much. I had always wanted to cherish the person in front of me, and it seemed that, somewhere along the way, she had started to feel the same way about me. I realized that when sincere feelings are shared, they are often reciprocated. Discovering the joy in this mutual understanding made me feel incredibly fortunate. I wanted to continue cherishing her and to increase the number of people I hold dear. Doing so, I believed, would surely build a happy life.